Hello, welcome to Marc Davis's Week of Wrestling podcast, where we talk about, what I watched in the past week of wrestling. But since it's the first one, I guess I have my whole life to recap, but we're not going to do all that. We're going to talk about the New Japan's, 2021, but in particular, up front, I want to talk about the last four shows, the two Satsuma no Kuni days, the two Wrestling Dontaku shows, and yeah, we'll take it from there. Before that, I want to tell you that you can listen to this not only on YouTube, you can just go directly to my RSS feed, go to Podbean, and this should be up on SoundCloud. Give me a couple weeks and this should be approved and on iTunes as well. So hopefully I can get that on as many platforms as possible to make sure you can listen to it on your favorite platform and keep the show as available as many people as possible, but also on my YouTube channel, Marc Davis, I do Let's Plays, I make music, and I'm working on an anime review series. If you've been following the channel for a while now, you know what that anime is. It's coming out. The reviews are coming out this Sunday. The first one is coming out this Sunday, so look out for that. Got a lot of stuff on my channel. Go back, got hundreds of videos in the backlogs. You'll probably enjoy some of it. But if you don't do any of that, that's perfectly fine. I got a couple wrestling reviews back there too. If you want to hear my opinions on 2019 New Japan. And I stopped doing them because I felt like it was just stuff in my life that I had to stop doing. But anyways, let's focus on the last four shows, particularly the four bigger matches, I guess, or the bigger matches of the last four shows. So I'm gonna start with Wrestling Satsuma no Kuni, April 28th, 2021, and the last two matches were Toru Yano versus Evil, and Roppongi 3K defending their titles, their junior tag team titles versus El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Now, this Yano match, it was alright. It's perfectly alright match, I guess. I just don't know what's going on with Evil. I didn't watch a lot of New Japan 2020. I know generally what happens. I know Evil won the title, and I didn't understand at the time, but I watched some of the G1 shows. Evil went 6-3 in a G1. He lost to Yano there. That was one of his losses. He lost to Sonata to be denied going to the finals. But since the G1, he's been 2-6 in singles matches. He lost to Yano here, obviously. He lost twice to Okada. He lost to Shingo in the semifinals of New Japan Cup. He lost to Sonata at Wrestle Kingdom, and he lost to Naito in his effort to regain the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. He's only won twice, and there was two New Japan Cup matches, the first two rounds. Oh, not his first. It was his first two. He got a bye, I believe. But anyways, he hasn't had a very successful time. He's struggling in the win-loss sense, and I don't know where they're going with him. I don't know what's next for him, because it seemed that maybe he could challenge for the never title somewhere down the line. Maybe challenge Jay White, get it off Jay White. Maybe that'd be a good place for him. But it doesn't seem that he's going to get the world title again anytime soon. And, he really shouldn't, because he's been losing quite a bit. And I think that in his upcoming G1, he's probably, if he's in a strong block, he's not going 6-3 again. I could tell you that much. But I just don't know what's happening with him. Don't know where it's going. And I'm puzzled. I don't particularly like Evil. I don't particularly dislike him. He's whatever to me. He's not, I like Sonata better. But I just don't understand the point of that title reign. That title reign, the length of it made sense, because I guess the story is that before he had in 2016, he had the never title. He had it. He won it and lost it in 10 days to, I think, Yuji Nagata or something, or maybe Shibata. And maybe that's going to be his thing. He's going to get a singles title and immediately lose it. I'm fine with that, But it was odd timing for me. Odd timing, I guess, in a lot of ways. And I just don't understand what's his arc. It's like he had just had the title and just had a good G1, and he's going through just a lot of losses. But we'll see what happens in the upcoming shows with Evil. It's probably going to be a lot more tag match tomfoolery. for him in the upcoming future. In the near future, I should say. Upcoming future, that's redundant. Anyways, the junior tag match was really good. Yo did a very good job in selling his leg. Desperado, Kanemaru, they're good. They've been doing this for quite some time, and Show is obviously, there's really not much to say about this match. It's just really good junior tag team match. And yeah, I guess the undercard had a teasing of Jeff Cobb wanted to. No, I'm sorry. That's day 2. I'll just move on to day 2 then. Day 2 had the main event was Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi versus Aaron Henare and Jeff Cobb. Now, after this match, Jeff Cobb challenged Kota Ibushi. Seems like an odd time to challenge. Kota Ibushi made you want to do that maybe 6 weeks ago, but hey, better late than never. Still get something out of it. He wants to challenge Kota Ibushi. And I think, and whenever this match is going to be held, I don't know if it's going to be at the Wrestling Grand Slam show. Cause I think one of them is at the Yokohama Arena. No, maybe it's Yokohama something. I think it's an open air stadium. And then the second big Grand Slam show it's going to be open air at the Tokyo Dome. So maybe they'll have that match there instead of Dominion. Which, I'm looking forward to. I think Jeff Cobb's probably going to win that one because it seems obvious. Maybe that's just the thing. You lose the title, you're just going to lose some matches, let some other guys be elevated for it. I don't disagree with that philosophy, but that seems that's going to happen, and I'm looking forward to that match. I predict that at least one spot. I predict this one spot. Jeff Cobb is going to belly-to-belly suplex Kota Ibushi out of the ring. I'm not doing that because I have any inside information or have some. I'm very observant of how they do stuff. No, I'm a dullard. But the first thing when I thought of Kota Ibushi versus Jeff Cobb was that I had that image of him belly suplexing him out of the ring and Kota Ibushi landing on his neck and not dying. But if that doesn't happen, that'd be cool too. It'll still be a great match all the same. And not really much to say about that second Satsuma show. We move on to Wrestling Dontaku Day 1 on the 3rd. It was a pretty good show all in all. It had some pretty good undercard stuff with the Okada coming back with Sho and Yo versus El Desperado, Minoru Suzuki, Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Pretty good match. Minoru Suzuki backstage, he's in his interview, he was talking about how to that day, it was 10 years since Suzuki Gun debuted in New Japan. Because apparently, I guess, debuted in 2011 Wrestling Dontaku, which I didn't see because it's not a New Japan World, I don't think. But yeah, they've been here 10 years, and Minoru Suzuki still has not had a reign with that IWGP, I guess, IWGP World Heavyweight Championship now. So will he ever get it? I don't know. At a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years, 4 or 5, it felt like for a while now, I feel like the top spot, it's been kind of like that top area who could have the title is clogged. But it felt like the time for him to have the title was like 20. It was like that 2010, 2011, even though I don't think he wasn't wrestling there in 2010, 2011. And 2012 was when he probably should have got it, but at that point, I don't know. You're trying that like 2011 Tanahashi title reign. It could have went a couple different ways. That could have been the moment when Goto finally won that title. I mean, I remember that match from 2011, that Goto and Tanahashi. I think it was 2011, and the crowd was ready for him to have it. And I think if Suzuki came in and at autumn of 2011, they had a match instead of Wrestle Kingdom 5. It was in 2012 and had that match. Maybe could have won it, and they had a rematch at that Wrestle Kingdom, and Tanahashi wins it back, and then could lose it to Okada. I don't know. Why am I fantasy booking stuff that happened a decade ago? I'm just saying, I'm trying to think of a situation where Suzuki could have had the title, and history couldn't have changed that much. But then again, that would change history because Tanahashi got that defense record in 2011. So whatever, it does change a little bit. In that defense record they played off of in Okada's big dick reign in 2017, 2018, or 2016 to 2018. And that match at Dontaku in 2018 too. So it all wraps back together. Anyways, I'm looking forward to Suzuki challenging whoever's on the title. I feel like Suzuki versus whoever has the title at King of Pro Wrestling seems like that could be a spot to challenge for it again, and maybe he could win it because no one thinks that the guy in that position is going to win that, especially Suzuki being that old man. But he'll have a great match, and I think it'd be cool if he won. I don't really feel right now, my opinion on the title, I don't really care either way who's winning it or not. I just hope it's someone that's not bullshit. If you're evil level or below, you shouldn't have it, obviously, because there's so many great talents right now. There's about 6 or 7 people. I wouldn't be mad if they won it. And that's usually, I'm not like that. Usually I think, okay, 1 or 2 people in this company should have it right now. It'd be kind of silly for somebody else. But I feel like things are kind of fluid right now in the way I'm perceiving it, even though I know they're planning out shit 18 months ahead. But I'm just gonna wait and see what they do with this, because I don't really know what the story they're telling with this title. But that's something I want to talk about a little bit later. Let's move on to the other matches on the show. There was a really good match between Bushi, Sanada, Shingo, and Naito versus Hanare, Great-O-Khan, Jeff Cobb, and Will Ospreay. Not really much to say. It was a really good undercard tag match. But Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tangaloa is obviously one of the singles matches that they teased on the previous shows. And I gotta say, Zack Sabre Jr. always walks out with the exaggerated swagger of a racehorse. Besides that, Zack Sabre Jr. is also one of the few people who can win with roll-ups, and no one thinks of those roll-up victories as bullshit wins. It's actually pretty interesting in that way, because he could beat anyone. I mean, he has beat pretty much he beat Tanahashi a couple times, I believe. I don't know if he's ever pinned. Did he pin Okada? But anyways, he could beat anyone, which makes me think if Zack Sabre Jr. was in the Ospreay role, he could pull it off just fine. He could be the world champion right now, and it wouldn't be silly. Maybe he doesn't have the chemistry with people. I'm not gonna get on that. Maybe you wouldn't want to see him there. But I just feel like, yeah, he's got it, and he's like he could be the world. He could be the what the fuck called, the world title holder. I don't know what to fucking call it. And it wouldn't be silly, but I don't know. It's not one of those things. It's like it's so clogged up top that I don't know when he's really going to get another shot at it, or even, when he's ever going to win it, if he ever does. But whatever. Pretty good match. Taichi versus Tama Tonga was a ladder match for the Iron Finger. It was a really good match in my opinion. This you talk about all the different things that happened, but obviously the big thing for me was Mr. Dookie. I know it's pronounced Dauki or whatever. Got power bombed to fucking hell through a ladder to the outside. I thought he died. Saw a replay of it. Thought he died again. Like, Jesus Christ, man. And those ladders aren't very thick, which I think would be even more painful, because you make less of the impact is being dispersed throughout the ladder before you hit the ground. And it looks like he landed neck first. The one way you don't want to do this spot. That's how I'm not blaming anyone. I think it went fine, but goddamn, good shit. Oh, and obviously, it was Tangaloa coming in, the powerbomb Duke. I mean, there was a lot of interference in this match, as there should be in a ladder match. If there's gonna be all this bullshit interference in all this the regular tag matches, why not do it in a ladder match where there's no disqualification? So there was quite a bit. Zack Sabre came down at one point. There was another guy, Jado, came down and beat up Dauki, and yeah, I think that was it in terms of interference. But yeah, really good match. And also on the undercard, what I wanted to mention, Who was it? Oh yeah, it was a Yano match on the undercard, I think, of this show, where Yano did, I think maybe it was either a low blow or a single low blow, and Red Shoes just saw it, like just didn't say anything, like, oh fuck, I'm not gonna act like I didn't see that even though I stared at it. If you're gonna do all those spots all the time, you're bound to fuck it up or like get the timing wrong at least once in a while. And I didn't notice it until someone pointed out on the New Japan subreddit. Because I've been going there recently just to temper my viewpoints, because I feel like I'm always out in the forest in terms of opinions about everything, not just wrestling. So I guess I ought to make an effort to ground my opinions down, and or at least bounce my opinions off people on the subreddit or just general wrestling stuff. I'm not really big on just reading stuff off Squared Circle. Not my thing. Anyways, the main event of day one, Wrestling Dontaku, was Hiroshi Tanahashi defending his never openweight championship versus Jay White. Very good match. But to start off, after the entrances, Hiroshi Tanahashi did think, I'm showing off my body. And Jay White's like, nah, fuck you, look at this body. And Gato's been doing this thing on tour. Each time Hiroshi Tanahashi tries to show off his body, he goes, boo, boo. And, Yano says he's trying to cheer Tanahashi's body. So I have the question for you. Who do you think has the better body, Tanahashi or Jay? Before I give my opinion, Tanahashi, it's about show and go, in my opinion. And they both got good show. And honestly, they could go. They still have great matches. But I'm talking about the aesthetics of Tanahashi's, like, just walking around. He looks like he's, like, trapped in his own body. Like, his hips and lower back, like it seems like they're just so fucked up over the years of doing, like, the dive, not the high fly flow, but the other one where he, like, does the floor flip and lands on his ass, and even when he hits it, he lands on his ass. Like, it seems like so many bumps like that have just fucked up the way he walks. I mean, for the last 10 years, if you look at a Tanahashi match from 2011, and then look at one from 2014, then 2017 to now, you just compare the way he walks. It's just, oh man, that sucks. And then obviously his right bicep, you could tell that's the one that he tore, because it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but I'm not really a kinesiologist, a physician, whatever. I don't really know much about the body. But you could tell, his biceps are not, like, the equal, like, shape. Because, he got it all surgerized. He tore it sometime in 2017, wrestled through the G1 with it, and then I think he got it repaired. But it's never gonna look the same. It never looks the same. Same thing with the Tama Tonga's arm, I believe. But anyways, who do I think has a better body? I think it's Jay White, in my opinion. Hot take there. That this 25-year-old athlete looks better than a 45-year-old athlete. Anyways, so Jay White taking this sweet ass old time and just punishing Tanahashi's lower extremities. And, it was about a 30-minute match. And Jay White, he wins the never open weight title. I was genuinely surprised. I thought Tanahashi was going to beat Jay. But I don't know if this is the third, fourth, fifth, sixth match that Jay White has defeated Tanahashi. But I don't know. Is Tanahashi beat Jay White? I don't know. Y'all could correct me in the comments or whatever. But Jay White has Tanahashi's number, has the title, and it seems that now Jay White is on title elevation duty. I wish him the best, and I hope whoever takes it from him is worthy of the newly elevated, never open. I guess I shouldn't say newly elevated. It's always been I mean, it's always been, prestigious because, the people who held it and all the great matches for it. Hey, even the guy who has the world title now battled for that in a really great match multiple times. I mean, it's pretty highly elevated title, but even for me, when Tanahashi got it, I still like this doesn't fit Tanahashi. He's better than this, even though like so many legends have had it, Yuji Nagata to Shibata to Ibushi, Ospreay, Ishii, of course. It's not a mark of shame at all, but it's felt like, Tanahashi having this belt, what the fuck? But now Jay White can have it, so I guess it's like just a new second title. But I have no problem with that. Honestly, it's just a title, just a prop. But with that being said, the prop has to match its position. So I think the Never title should be the one that should have got redesigned. If the Never title was the design of the new world title, that would have been awesome. Maybe not, take out the things that, like maybe have a big gold Never instead of, that shape, and take off all the stuff that makes it a world title, but has that general vibe as the Never title, and keep the IWGP title like that design to the new one. And I just felt like that needs to happen. That's the title redesign I really want, because the Never title just looks cheap. It doesn't look that prestigious to me, even though, and I guess that's most of the reason why I was shocked when Tanahashi has it, because the belt complements, it doesn't compliment his attire that well. Not nearly as much as the IWGP belt did, or the IC belt. But maybe in time they will do that. What is next to talk about? I had this analogy I was thinking about, because I don't think I like this Tanahashi match, this Tanahashi versus Jay White match, as much as I should have, even though I thought it was very good. But it seems that, like, over the years, when we watch Tanahashi, his matches are like dark chocolate. They're not decadent, but they are a treat. They are a sweet treat in your mouth. Just gotta let it sit in there. Enjoy the taste. Enjoy it. And whatever. I think they're like dark chocolate. Maybe compared to maybe a Will Ospreay match, is like shotgunning mini M&Ms. But different taste for different people. Let's move on to Wrestling Dontaku Day 2. Also pretty good show. Undercard tag matches were pretty good, but maybe not that Tenzan Wato versus Ishimori and Takahashi. That was all right. The card changed slightly. I don't know exactly what happened, because I haven't had the time to look this up. I had some other things that I was trying to compile to prepare this episode. But there was a match that got changed and had some other people in it, and it changed to Tenzan and Wato versus Ishimori Takahashi. And I think that might be because Okada and someone in Roppongi 3K got sick, so they changed the match around, because it was going to be those Chaos guys versus Bullet Club guys, and I guess they just switched some stuff around, and I don't know. I'm not really up to date on that, but I know Okada has a fever, and maybe one of the guys, maybe Showa has COVID, but I think the fever that Okada has is unrelated, maybe, from what I read, but I don't know anything about that. But I just know that it's probably going to be 2 weeks or so until we see one of them again, probably. But then again, it's like 11 days until the next show anyways, because shows got canceled. The Tokyo shows that New Japan was trying to run in Korakuen got canceled anyways. We'll talk about that a little bit. But obviously the big match to talk about here is the Will Ospreay title defense versus Shingo Takagi for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. Let me just say, amazing. Certified HUD classic. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Very prodigious score. I'll talk about my rating system later. I love this match. It was amazing. It was the highlight of my fucking month. I don't know. It's been a while since I saw a match this good. I saw a match close to this good, obviously. It's in a couple months ago, but I don't know. It was just like I think it went like 40, 45 minutes, something like that. And even they just went for it. They went for it all from doing the Chekhov's gun table spot, show that we have a table, then use the table in a spot 25 minutes later. I do like that. From just the wild exchanges. My recap really can't do it justice. I don't really want to. I'm not that type of guy who says, "Oh, move for move, what happened?" Just go watch it, enjoy it. What can I say? Will Ospreay is having a pretty good year, I would say, and I feel that if he has performances that are even like he's having these title defenses, to let him have these performances, I should say, throughout the year. If he has it until Wrestle Kingdom, which, depending on who he's defending the title against next, it probably won't happen. But I think it's either like trying to get in the mind of a wrestling observer, fan voter, or a general voter in a general sense. I'm trying to get in their mind. I think right now it has to be between Ospreay and Omega, who's going to be Wrestler of the Year. I'm not sure about that. Maybe I'm completely fucking off. I probably am, because the only thing I watch this year is New Japan. I'll be changing that soon. But I feel if Will Ospreay has a title throughout the rest of the year, has great title defenses, has a great G1, it'd be a crime for him not to get it. Obviously, Shingo Takagi isn't getting it because he's not getting a title this year. But he has many great matches this year. He's gonna continue to have great matches throughout the rest of this year. He is vibing on a high frequency right now, and I love to fucking see it. Shingo Takagi, I don't know. It took me a lot longer than most people, I guess. I never disliked Shingo Takagi, don't get me wrong, but it always felt to me that he's the other guy in the match. I'm never focusing, oh, that was a great Takagi match. Oh, no, that was a great Naito match versus Takagi. That was a great Ishii match versus Takagi. That was a great Jeff Cobb match versus Takagi. I don't know. I usually think of this as one person's match, and that's the other guy that they're working with. And they're both equal, but I'm looking through the lens of one person. And I usually look, if this guy is a title match, I'm looking through the lens of the guy who's defending the title. It's his match to make great, which is flawed, obviously. It's a cooperative sort of thing. But Takagi he's one of my favorites. This match made one of my favorites. Yeah. Bomb ass shit. The Made Japan through the tables, awesome. I don't think Shingo Takagi ever hit the pumping bomber. The closing sequence had Will Ospreay reversed, I think, a pumping bomber, dodged it, grabbed his wrist, Rainmaker, the elbow to the back of the head, Stormbreaker, fuck him up. A bunch of cool stuff, bunch of cool reversals. It was everything. It built well. Every time I thought it was going to kind of just be, okay, that was good. Okay, it's at really good levels. It's simmering at very good. Oh, this is a great match. I'm vibing. Oh shit, this is a really good match. And then it just it cranked up the last 10 minutes. It's my favorite thing about any match, especially in a Japan match. It's just it cranks itself up. It's building to that crescendo, and it's just this is an exemplary match, and it exemplifies why every amazing New Japan match it has it. They have it down to a goddamn formula, and these two have fantastic chemistry. Every match they've had has been off the chain, and I can't wait for the next bout. Will it be in the G1? Will it be in the G1 finals? Will it be another title defense? I don't know, but add Shingo to the list of people who could win this title, but that everyone would accept as a world champion, but may not get the opportunity. And as I'm saying this and realizing this is changing my opinion on Ibushi's title reign, which I guess we can move on from that Wrestling Dontaku Day 2 show to just my thoughts on NJPW this year. Because I went from thinking that the Ibushi title reign was like, this guy is supposed to be a wrestling god, and he had a very, let's say, human title reign. He had 3 successful defenses, right? It was Sonata, Naito, Desperado, and then he lost it to Ospreay. Very good matches. Technically a very good reign, but it didn't feel like, oh, I've ascended to god-like status through this reign. I mean, in a way, you're part of the pantheon of great wrestlers who got to hold those belts. In a way, you'll be remembered in wrestling history for that. But it was still not one of the best reigns of the last 5 years with those titles. Like, come on, dude. Not his fault, of course. They weren't trying to tell the story that type of way. But I guess now what's it gonna be? There's gonna be more title changes, maybe. Maybe Will Ospreay loses the title at Dominion to maybe Okada if Okada ends up challenging him for it. And maybe Okada loses it to someone at King of Pro Wrestling, and then we have some sort of weird crisscross sort of thing at the Wrestle Kingdom, like we had in 2020 or 2021, I should say, like late last year, where we have guy wins G1, loses the briefcase through his machinations, is able to get in that little 4-way tournament, ends up winning the belt and beating the guy who stole his briefcase. Maybe have one of those situations. Maybe there's gonna be a lot of chaos in that scene when you look back a year from Wrestle Kingdom 15 and say, oh, there were 4 title changes in 2021, and it'll all be one of the great guys who deserve it, but they're all getting older, because they got they got a lot of great guys, and a lot of them are aging. Shingo Takagi, I think, is like 39. Minoru Suzuki is almost, he's not American, I don't know what the guy over there, but he's almost reaching social security age. I think he's in his mid-50s. Hiroshi Tanahashi is early to mid-40s, I believe. And Ishii, can't forget about him. He hasn't been on a lot of these shows in the past month. Don't know what's up with him. He might just be resting. But he's getting up there too. I'm pretty sure he's in his early 40s. There's a lot of guys who are just, they might just not get the title, I guess. But it seems that he's 45, Ishii. But I guess I don't know. I don't know exactly what the story trying to tell with the title. Maybe they're gonna switch it around a lot. Maybe it's just Will Ospreay's to have, or maybe it's going to go between they're establishing a new top 4 where Ibushi, Ospreay, Okada, and Naito are that 4. I don't know. Doesn't really. I don't know. And Bullet Club just won't have I guess it'll just be Jay White. So it'll be a 5. It'll be the 4 faction leaders, and Kota Ibushi are the new 5 that'll vie for the title, and just everyone under that, including Shingo and LIJ, won't really be thought of and booked to win that title in any serious way. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm just pontificating. But I don't have any idea what they're gonna do with that title. Before, for like the earlier years, I kind of have an idea. They're gonna do this, like Naito's gonna win the title off Okada. I just don't know when. Before Omega is gonna win the title off Okada, but I don't know when. Okada's gonna beat Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom. We just don't know which one. You know, you can go back and say, oh, it's gonna. You don't like you can know what's gonna happen, but you just don't know when. And I don't even know what's gonna happen because when I was thinking at Wrestle Kingdom what was gonna happen, or even at 2020's Wrestle Kingdom what was gonna happen, I've lost the ability to predict what they're gonna do, and not being able to know when they're gonna do it. So whatever happens will be a surprise to me. Maybe that's a good thing. But talking about this year, though, in general, NJPW has had a weird vibe, sort of weird booking, and that's I don't chalk that just up to the pandemic era. There's been many shows that I've enjoyed in the pandemic era. I'm not talking about different promotions. I'm just talking about just New Japan. I say there's bad ones on the promotions. But I remember this from G1 shows, just like rinky-dink road to Kazuna Road shows or whatever the fuck in like early August, where they were like at a gymnasium. They've had some maybe I just had a better time in my life and I enjoyed it more, but it seemed like, you know, in Kurikan, the Kurikan shows did not feel right to me. I mean that's vibe stuff. That's not really very descriptive, but I guess contributing to, I feel like the matches on this tour, the tag matches, the undercard tag matches might have been a little bit longer. Even though they're still good, they're seemingly longer compared to like August, September. I feel like a lot of the matches, there are still six matches on the show, but the tag matches went by a lot faster, and the shows were like an hour and a half. And I thought that was good. It was the right thing to do. Keep it brisk, keep it fun, keep it high action with these tag matches, and you could still have very low impact tag matches, but a lot of running past each other, a lot of group clotheslines, a lot of shenanigans can happen. We still have a good time. And I just feel like a lot of same tropes of New Japan matches, keep going. We're fine with that. It's still reoccurring, but these matches have been longer. You're testing my attention span, and with just clapping, I just don't know. It's not as enjoyable as a watch, even though the matches are still technically good, and that's the best way of being good. It's just technically. Anyways, when I was thinking about these notes, thinking about stuff to say on this before I watched the last two Dontaku shows, I was thinking, honestly, I'm just ready for the G1 to start back up. And of course, I'm ready for the pandemic era to end. Now my tune has kind of changed after I saw the last two shows, especially that Ospreay Takagi match. But I'm kind of fine with just watching, whatever they're going to give me, especially these open air stadium or arena shows that are coming up. I think they're open air. I'm pretty sure. I'm not too I'm not familiarized with the venue, but I'm pretty sure that's the case because it's the Grand Slam. Oh, it's going to be at a baseball stadium, baseball open air. And so, but also, honestly, I want the pandemic era to fucking end. I'm not saying I don't want that. Oh, let's keep it going forever. No, it fucking sucks compared to what it should be. But it looks like that's going to get pushed back even further in Japan because Tokyo is having over 1,000 cases a day. Osaka, I think, is at over 1,000 cases a day. I think Japan hits in total over 10,000 deaths recently. And I'm looking at this article in The Guardian. It's saying that Japan nurses voice anger at call to volunteer for Tokyo Olympics amid COVID crisis. You gotta love the shitty ways people write headlines, but this is where we're at now. They're trying to prepare for the Olympics. They want that to go as normal as possible or seem normal as possible to a TV audience, even though foreigners are not going to be allowed to be spectators at the Tokyo Olympics. But it seems that resources are going towards that instead of treating coronavirus patients in Japan, which that fucking sucks. So let's see. I'll skim this article again because I have to make sure the numbers are right. Yeah, the COVID deaths in Japan recently passed 10,000, the highest in the region. While media reports said the number of people with severe COVID-19 symptoms have reached a record 1,050 at last weekend. So, yeah, on the fourth wave of COVID in Japan, there may or may not be some sort of state of emergency type thing. I don't know yet. But we do know is that the next week of Korakuen shows, of course, in Tokyo, are canceled, and leading up to the Grand Slam shows, which honestly, hey, we're canceling Road 2 shows now. That's perfectly fine with me, but it's not indicative of progress. It kind of sucks. So yeah, so next week, between now and the next episode, there will be no new NJPW shows for me to talk about. It gives me time to catch up on other stuff, but next week I'll be talking about Stardom. I'll be catching up on that. I might be talking about some AEW big matches. What I mean by that is Kenny Omega big matches that have happened this year, because I haven't watched any of that, from the barbed wire Dynamite extravaganza bonanza that happened in January between Moxley and Omega to his battles with Rich Swann or whatever. I'm pretty sure they're all really good, but I haven't really made time to go watch those. But yeah. Also, another thing, what I want to say, Moxley, that reminds me. I guess I can just skip down to talking about NJPW Strong. I watched almost every episode besides 3 this year. I didn't watch the last one because I didn't really have time, but I watched almost everything up to Tom Lawler winning the New Japan Strong title. But I have like the vibe that I get. Man, I need to stop saying vibe. It started as ironic. Now I'm a fucking asshole now. Fuck. But how do I say it? Watching the show, it makes me think, does anyone watch this show? Because it's like, zero attendance, so it's easy to think that. But it feels like such a departure from the regular New Japan product. It's American cameramen. It's, a lot of wrestlers that never been on a Japanese New Japan show, at least that I have seen. It's just not New Japan wrestlers, a lot of them. I have no problem with it. But it just feels like I'm watching, like, it has the energy of, like, Day 4 World Tag League mixed with WWE main event. Not to say that it's bad, but it just feels like it doesn't matter at all. The only match on there that I felt like had anything, like, it felt like extended universe bullshit. And the only thing that didn't feel like that was the Moxley versus Kenta match that I've been looking forward to for months now. And I finally had to watch like a week ago. I think it happened sometime in March, right? For that U.S. Championship. And I thought it was a pretty good match, but it just feels like, man, I waited months for this match to watch it. And it was just pretty good. It wasn't anything crazy. I feel like I have to preface everything that I'm not like effusively positive about Jon Moxley. I gotta say, he's pretty good. I like the guy, but it just, his matches are never as good as I think they should be. But whatever. Let me move on to my next original thought, is that Brody King looks like a 300-pound Fidel Castro. And the last thing I guess I gotta say about New Japan Strong is that it seems to me with all the young lions they have, all the people being trained in that California dojo, New Japan has a very bright future ahead of it. I like a lot of the guys. Someone in the line's been there for quite some time, or been in New Japan's system for quite some time, like Clark Connors. I like Kevin Knight. I think those are my two favorites. But who's that other guy? I forget some of their names, but I pretty much like all the young lions they got going. Even the ones that I think are mainly in Japan, like Yuya Uemura. I do like him. I mean, he got star written all over him, of course. But yeah, I just think it is New Japan Strong is positive in one sense, in that it does really make me think that, dude, New Japan is like, they're gonna be all right after Tanahashi, after Ishii and Suzuki, and even after fucking Naito. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine. You may not think that they're gonna be fine right now, or not gonna have depth in 5 years from now because of the skill of Great Okan and Hanare or whatever. But I think these crop of young lions are gonna be something else. They're really gonna be something. But I mean, honestly, not to shit on Great Okan or Toa Hinare. I like Toa Hinare. I think he's really good, but not great. But Great Okan really doesn't do anything for me. I know, wild opinion, but I don't even dislike him. It's kind of like an evil situation. I don't dislike him, but what are we doing here? What is your athletic attribute? Some people, they could jump really high and do flips. Some people could hit really hard. Some people give up their body even though it may seem like they sacrifice their bodily health to do extra damage to the enemy, and so on and so forth. Or they're really technically skilled like Zack Sabre Jr., even though they're extremely slight. All these great archetypes we come to know and love. And what does Great Okan have? He wrestles like a big guy, but his moveset to me is not particularly hard hitting on New Japan scale. It's not a lot of it's a lot of I don't know how to say this. I don't want to say nonsense, but I guess it is kind of nonsense. What's up with smothering people with your hand, dude? Have some sportsmanship. What else can I say about him? The putting your butt on the back of somebody's head. Come on, man. But back in my day, you would get thrown out for doing something like that. How heinous. No, but seriously, I usually metabolize wrestlers as the way they're presented to me in New Japan, because I respect their booking, and usually everyone executes their role well. And I guess my thing is, I don't exactly understand Great Okan's role. Fuck his character. That's not really important. I read a comment says, "Oh, he's 5'8" and wrestles like a giant. He's 6'2". He has vampire teeth, but he's playing a Mongolian, but he's Japanese. As if that means anything. That's irrelevant. And he doesn't even have vampire teeth. Don't vampires only have those two sharp ones? Those are just Great Okan is his character is like a monster of what an 8-year-old would draw. That's the problem. It's just a mishmash. It's like the Chimera from Mother 3. It's like, I'm gonna draw a monster. He has every teeth. What about we made all the teeth sharp? How about we give him a big mean face? And how about he walks around very wide and stiff? And that's like a kid's idea of what a menacing guy would be. And that's fine, but I just feel I don't know, he seems more athletic than what he lets on. I just think he should just be an athletic guy. He has a character that's not meant for him, or at least he's not doing it in the way that it should be. I mean, it's fine, but I mean, he has a whole level within him of match in him that he could have, and I think him trying to wrestle in that Great Okan type of way is limiting him. And maybe I'm being too judgmental because I haven't even seen that many of his matches. I've been watching on and off New Japan for a while. I watch full time for a bit, but then life happens. And, usually I would skip a Great Okan match. But I have been watching his matches this year. It just seemed like, yeah, he's fine. But I know there's more there. You didn't go through all the rigors of New Japan, Young Lion training and going on excursion to, hold somebody's head with your hand and rub your butt cheeks on somebody's back. I know he does more than that. I'm just teasing. But still, I just feel like he has more in the can. And especially in comparison of Hanare, who had a match with Sonata on one of the Road to Dontaku shows. I thought that was a very good match. And it seems that Hanare, his persona, his whatever, is not limiting him. And I swear to God, the last time I see him wrestle in a singles match, he was doing some sort of Islander type thing. I'm glad he got rid of that, because that will limit you. Then you gotta wrestle like a weird stiff not in the hitting somebody hard, but stiff not. You're not flexible, like an inflexible, like Haku sort of guy. You don't need to do that. We don't need to see that anymore. But Hanare is not limiting himself with his character. He's just a big, nasty heel guy who's athletic and has athletic merits. But fine. I spent a lot of time on Great Okan. I don't mean to shit on the guy, but it's just a weird observation. Let's talk about the year that's Naito's having. It's a year. I don't have nothing to say, but at some points I'm like, is this the character, or is he really just kind of checked out? Like, is he kind of checked out because, please don't, I know you're going to make fun of me because of this, but it just seemed like at some points, like I remember in January at a Road to New Beginning show, there was a tag match where Hanma botched taking a Destino. He botched something real bad before that. And it just seemed like Naito just like, what am I doing with my life? He had the face of just, I'm done. I want to quit. And then in like a later, I think it was maybe the next match he had, a tag match involving him and Hanma. Hanma botches something slightly again, and Naito's like, okay, whatever, old man. But of course, his match against Ibushi was very good. He's had some good matches this year, but obviously this year is not about him. I'm looking forward to him, of course, in the G1. That'll be his time to shine. But I did write down on the April 18th Road to Dontaku show, Naito forces Hiromu to open the ropes for him. And Hiromu doesn't do it instantly. Is this teasing some sort of dissension in the ranks? Will Hiromu not take Naito's shit anymore and turn on him and go Bullet Club for life? Obviously not. They're friends, and they're just teasing them because he has a shoulder injury. He wants, you have to use your shoulder to open up the cables. But no, it's it'd be dumb if that was an inciting incident of him turning on him. Anyways, yeah, poor Hiromu. Get better soon, bud. Let's talk about Ibushi, his year. I remember after the Wrestle Kingdom show, I think it was Adam from the Big Audio Nightmare podcast. Of course, listen to that. You can listen to that too if you're a New Japan fan. It's behind the F4W paywall. Anyways, I think Adam said that Kota Ibushi seemed sluggish, seemed a little bit slower because he gained like a lot of muscle over the past year or so. And to me, it seems that he's been extra jumpy this year. A lot of extra steps that he's been taking. I've noticed. He seems I guess he's always kind of jumpy, but I think he's in perfectly good condition. He looks like he's just as athletic as ever. Maybe he's not doing as many ridiculous bullshit moves as he used to. But I think that's not the problem with Ibushi, if he has any problems. The one problem that I could kind of say is that sometimes his, what's it called? The Kame Goye, the Become God knee, is a little not there. A little not making hard enough contact. I'm not saying kill the guy. I'm not saying push the guy's nose bone up into his brain. But sometimes it feels like he's wearing a little bit too much on slapping his knee and not enough on popping the guy in the neck and like collarbone area. Because I remember, like, he does. It's basically like Kenny Omega knee strike when he just was standing straight up and just raised his shin into somebody's collarbone. It's been in many matches. It's been in, that you've probably seen. I forget what match it was. We did the spot. We did like 3 of those. He would just grab the guy's head. I think it might have been one of those Okada Omega matches where grabs the guy's head and just knees him repeatedly in the he shins him, I guess, technically, right in the collarbone. He keeps doing that, and it makes a loud popping noise because of that kick pad. And he's not running up and doing it. He's just sitting there, grabbing his head and doing it repeatedly. That's basically what I want Kota Ibushi's finisher to look like. It looks like... It doesn't look like that. It looks like a guy putting his knee in somebody's face, soft enough that it doesn't hurt the guy, and hard enough to say that we technically made contact. But if he did his hard as possible, leading with his kick pad into like the collarbone close to his face, and he did it fast enough, people would buy it as the face anyways. But that's a minor nitpick, I guess. But whatever. As I said before, I talked about Kota Ibushi's reign. Don't have much more to say about that. He's probably going to have a great match with Jeff Cobb coming up whenever. Last wrestler I want to talk about individually is Will Ospreay. I was really pondering when Will Ospreay beat Kota Ibushi for the belt. I was kind of shocked because it felt like if he was going to win the belt off of anyone, it would have been off Okada. But it has to be he either wins it off Okada or drops it to Okada. And obviously one of those decisions, can't be made anymore. So that's why I'm really worried about this. And when Okada comes back, will it be him that challenges Ospreay at Dominion? Because it will make the most sense. If they do have this match at Dominion, I am 99% sure Okada will win. I think Okada would win. He holds it to Wrestle Kingdom and Ospreay beats him there, maybe. But I think it makes sense to me because Okada beat him at Wrestle Kingdom without any belt on the line. Beat him at G1 before. Beat him at an anniversary show for the belts. Or maybe the belt wasn't on the line, but it was champion versus champion. And it seemed that, he's finally going to beat him for not just to say he beat him, but for the biggest belt in all the land. But maybe they want to extend that story out and just say, you made it all the way to the top, but once I came around for your belt, Okada proves once again that Ospreay is his junior. Maybe that will happen. Another observation I wrote down, I watched one of these Road 2 shows. Why doesn't Ospreay kind of like completely dominate these tag matches? Especially as like his heel United Empire thing. It's like he should just completely just run around elbowing people. I mean, leading up to the match with Kojima in January, he acted outside his normal protocol. He like made a point to get a chair and beat up Kojima. He didn't care if he got his qualification. That makes sense. For different opponents, he should have acted out of the normal tag match procedure, fitting his opponent. And if his opponent leading up to the Shingo match, it should have been, I'm just going full at all my strong style moves. I'm just mashing them. It's like WWE 2K14. You come in with infinite finishers. I'm doing the fucking the fucking elbow to the back of people's neck. I'm surprised I don't know the name of that. I probably would know if I listened to English commentary. Whatever. What else? But yeah, I feel like he just should be just maxing out on just fucking her up with finishers. And not that a match has to be like 3 minutes long, but whenever he comes in, it's just like he's like a devastating Dark Souls boss. He's just fucking up your shit. And Shingo's story within those tag matches would be is like, okay, he gets hit with a big move really hard. He's holding his neck. He's like, okay, I'm not coming back in. We'll say this for Dontaku. It's something that they could have done. And maybe they, in ways you could say they did that, but for the most part, they've been pretty standard, pretty good tag matches, New Japan tag matches. But yeah, Ospreay obviously having a pretty good year. I remarked about my predictions about that he could be a wrestler of the year in the Wrestling Observer. I'm trying to get into that in mind. Because what I consider my heuristic for looking at Wrestler of the Year is completely different of what maybe your average hardcore wrestling fan would think of. What's another thing I want to talk about is that the IWGP, the new, I'll say this, the old IWGP title is befitting of a king. The design I'm talking about. The new design is fit for a guy who would never get to hold it in the past generations, or let's say an upstart monarch, where like the old title, the 2010s title design, is one of just passing it down a dynasty. That's what it means. Okada was the next guy in a dynastic tradition of New Japan to get this. He's the new ace, you know. But this title is meant to. It's like, you know, we're in a time we're doing it's a game of the throne. No, it doesn't make sense. It's upstart monarch. I forget who the example I would think of. I wrote this when I was really out of my mind at one point a couple days ago. I basically think of it, it's a guy, it's royalty taking. It's like when fucking the Glorious Revolution, when they just replaced their fucking monarch with a different monarch after the English Civil War. Like that's kind of what I think of when I think the old IWGP title. This new one is like there's a civil war and a guy just makes himself the king. You know? I don't fucking know. It's like if George Washington made himself the king. That was stupid. Why'd I even write this down? But yeah, I thought this basically the symbolism was it was a traditional heavyweight gets the title sort of design, and this new one is supposed to symbolize how no junior heavyweights could get it now too. Every type of guy could get it now, where you would never, maybe 5-6 years ago, think Kota Ibushi would get the title. You definitely wouldn't thought of Will Ospreay getting the championship. You wouldn't think, in 2015, you would have thought Shingo would be in contention for the IWGP Championship. Stuff like that, you know. Who thought Desperado would be challenging for it in a serious manner? You know, it's like a new way of booking this belt, I thought it meant to signify. But I do like the design, though. I just feel like the old design was so good, you didn't need to change it to symbolize a change. You could have just unified them, added maybe change one of the side, plates to symbolize, it's the IWGP World Heavyweight title now. You don't have to change the middle fucking plate. It's iconic, man. Come on. Anyways. What else do I want to talk about? Another thing that I've noticed, another observation that I've come down. That's nothing I've noticed particularly about this. It's always kind of existed for decades now. But the traditional heel face thing doesn't work in a stagnant roster of people. The bad guy has to go away at some point, or else people will just warm up to him. Like the bad guy either has to go away or just continue to up the ante of his heelishness, and you could probably think of some very quick examples of how I'm wrong, and that's pretty fucked up of you to do that. I'm just trying to present my thing, but I would say, at least for me, watching from home, it just seems that anyone who's a heel, it's like eventually the stuff that made me not like you, either I become used to it, or it's like go away heat. And I think bad guy needs to go away before he gets to go away heat, like a touring champion sort of thing. And in some ways, Gato does pay attention to when and where he books things. And I don't mean like when I don't mean where in terms of the event technically. I mean where in terms of like the actual city. A title change may not make sense to do on a whatchamacallit, on like a non-Big Four show. But if it's in the right city for the right person, it would have been obvious if you made that observation that, oh, this person's going to win the belt or successfully defend the belt in this place at this time because it's this city. But that's not what I'm talking about. I mean more of the guy literally has to leave the go on excursion and be a bad guy somewhere else and then come back. And even then it doesn't work. I just don't know to what degree does a heel act has life past like a year and a half, because you just get used to it at some point, and then your heelishness gets attenuated through people just being numb to it, or you just be lighter. You become lighter on your heel act because you don't feel like doing it like as vigorously as you once did. So whatever, that's just an observation. Honestly, people have been talking about idiots. For the most part, I've been talking about, the heel and faces aren't a thing anymore. Nah, it is. I mean, I'm talking like WWE writers or whatever, saying no such thing as a heel and a face anymore. And then other people will say the same thing, but they mean it in a different way. One person is saying to cover up shitty writing and booking, and the other person is saying, well, I like what I like. And a person technically being a quote-unquote wrestling bad guy is not going to keep me from cheering them, So, whatever. I was just noticing that it'd be cool. Like we live in a time where there's a lot of movement. I mean, mine says COVID thing. Where there'd be a lot of movement between a lot of the big wrestling companies, where you could have a big star, not just a young lion or a guy who's just coming out of young lion status, go on excursion. You could do that for months at a time. The guy comes back and does his thing here and keeps them fresh. You could do that, and they don't do a ton of it because COVID again. But like Kenta, be a great example. Like Kenta should be the guy who's like never in New Japan, like never in Japan. Like he should be in Japan for like 3 months out of the thing. He's there for G1. He's there for Wrestle Kingdom. He's there for New Japan Cup. But for the rest of the year, he could be in America and in the UK and maybe in Mexico. Like he doesn't. He doesn't. I think he's like a good candidate for that. Who else? Who else could be that? David Finlay and Juice Robinson. They've been doing tag matches in Impact, and they've been staying there. I think they would have come back and forth if COVID, like if you didn't have to quarantine for 14 days. But that's also not good. They could be in America for a long period of time, come back for G1, come back for tournaments, come back for Wrestle Kingdom. Because that could make the heel face thing like be revived as more, or be more effective if a heel comes back. If he was a really good heel, he'll come back and like, oh fuck this guy. But maybe that is bad. Maybe every heel that leaves and come back, if they were a good wrestler, they'll get the Triple H fucking return from injury pop. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't know. What else is there? Oh, one more thing about New Japan this year, or just in general. I like Sonata. That is all. But let's move on down to the top list so far. I'm gonna do a top 5 list: shows, matches, wrestlers. Top 5 shows. Number 5 is Wrestling Dontaku Day 2. The average match, I gave it a score. The average score came to a 7.35 out of 10. That's a pretty good show. So what I do for like my show scores is just take up all the matches and average them. If it's a show with like let's say a WWE style, AEW style show where there's like promos and junk, I do rate promos and I do average them in. But with New Japan, the post match interview, I'm not rating that. The world, like the main event promo guy, I'm not doing that. I mean, a big reason for that is because I don't speak Japanese, and it'd be odd for me just to rate the English ones. But I just don't think it doesn't contribute to the show. And a reason that it doesn't contribute to the show for me is because as soon as they fucking count 1, 2, 3, I'm exiting out of the fucking tab and moving on in my life. I don't need to see unless it's a big show like G1 or something. I don't usually stick around to watch the post match interviews or the promo that the main event victor has to give. But yeah, that's how I do get my event score. Excuse me. Number 4 is Wrestling Dontaku Day 1. Got a 7.38 out of 10. Number 3 is New Beginning in Nagoya. 7.45 score. Wrestle Kingdom 15 Day 2. Got a 7.67 score. And Wrestle Kingdom 15 Day 1 got a 7.68 score. That's just how the averages worked out. In terms of top 5 matches thus far in 2021 in New Japan, Kota Ibushi versus Will Ospreay, I gave it 8 at Sakura Genesis. I gave it 8.5 out of 10. It's 8.5 means really great. New Japan Cup Day 13 on March 21st. Shingo Takagi versus Will Ospreay, I gave it 8.5. Wrestle Kingdom 15 January 5th. That's Day 2. Kota Ibushi versus Jay White, I gave it 8.5. The reason why they're not tied for first place or whatever, tied for third place, is because I give edge to the one that happens first. Simple as that. That's a simple tiebreaker in my book. Number 2 is Wrestle Kingdom 15 Day 1. Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay, I gave it 8.75 out of 10. And Wrestling Dontaku, Will Ospreay versus Shingo Takagi, I gave a 9 out of 10. It is the best New Japan match this year. Maybe the best in the pandemic era. So, yeah, it probably will be match of the year. 9 was good enough to win match of the year last year in my book. And that 9 went to Okada versus Ibushi at Wrestle Kingdom 14. I thought it was better than that tag team match at Revolution that everyone nutted for, and that did win the Wrestling Observer match of the year. I give that an 8.75 out of 10. I didn't really see what people were talking about. It was a great match. It was a very great match, but people really loved them. Some Young Bucks really loved some Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. Whatever I say, to each his own. With top 5 wrestlers, this one has to be pretty obvious. Pretty obvious. Number 5, Okada has a 7.18 average match score. Hiroshi Tanahashi has a slightly lower match score than this, so he's not on the list. But we all know he's been doing well. Number 4 is Will Ospreay with a 7.43 average match score. Jay White has a 7.5 average, but he has not been around as much, so he doesn't have as many inputs to put into this score. Honestly, the more matches the more Road 2 shows that I rate, this score's gonna go way down because they're good matches, but they're weighing down the few singles matches you get, which may be great, but the majority of your matches are those Road 2 shows. I'm not doing some sort of equalizing bullshit. You signed to this company, you know how it books. If you want to win my awards, you gotta do what you can to have the best Road 2 tag matches you can. I'm not gonna grade that against you. I'm not gonna grade that particularly for you. That's all your work counts equally, because all these matches could technically be great if you want it to be great. Anyway, number 2, Shingo Takagi has a 7.51 score, really good, and Kota Ibushi has a slightly higher one at 7.52. Also has the benefit of not wrestling on so many Road 2 shows. He might have, I think Shingo Takagi wrestled way more. He might have been on every single tour up to this point. So it's still impressive. He still has that high of a score. Maybe I'm wrong about that, because that's like a very high score to say he wrestled that many times. But obviously those scores are going to change. I'm just giving you an idea. I haven't even watched every New Japan show up to this point. I watched about half of them. So those are obviously going to change. I think this year Kota Ibushi always has a good shot to be the top scorer, to be the wrestler of the year, because he doesn't wrestle. He skips a lot of Road 2 shows, which is when like a lot of New Japan wrestlers get their score taken down. But whatever. So that I was not expecting to talk as long as I have. So I'm gonna go to just what is this show? What promotions am I covering? New Japan and Stardom mainly. If I have time that week, I'll cover AEW, WWE, All Japan, Gato Move, CMLL, or whatever interests me that week. I want to get into AEW some more, but I legitimately don't find it interesting. It just is nothing there. There's one wrestler I like, Kenny Omega, and the rest of them are just not that interesting to me. And I think it was maybe somewhat telling in how they're going to book the thing when fucking Chris Jericho became the champion. I still don't understand that, but whatever. Kenny Omega's the champion now. He's the belt collector now. But yeah, it's a shame that the two biggest promotions in the Anglosphere are not interesting to me at all. Because WWE, I have all the same probably anti-WWE opinions as every other anti-WWE or non-WWE wrestling fan has. Is that it's just not for me. It's not rewarding. They have great matches every now and again, but they're great matches within this tapestry of shit. And I'm not trying to pick out greatness, great pieces of cotton in a shitty tapestry. Anyway, next week, since there's not going to be any New Japan shows, I'll focus on Stardom and the AEW big matches from this year. If you're interested in my opinions on those, and of course, watching the past, retro stuff, as some of you may know it as. There will be some of that. There'll be a lot of that actually. This year, one of my goals is in terms of wrestling fandom. I want to watch all the shows I missed, all the New Japan shows I missed in 2010s, that whole decade, all the shows I've missed. Rate them. I really want to know, in my opinion, who had the best average, who had like the greatest streak of great matches, to what extent, like when did certain people have their signature moments, when did they have that great career defining thing? Because there's so much of that shit that I didn't watch that I just skip. There's a lot of Ishii that I didn't get to watch. There's a lot of, even though they did not utilize Nagata as much as they should have in that decade, they still utilized him. And I like to see what he did. Of course, all those fucking Shibata matches that I didn't get to watch. Stuff like that. But I also want to review 3 careers. I want to watch as many of the matches on the internet as possibly can this year of the careers of Kenta Kobashi, Steve Austin, and Katsuri Shibata. I want to see how many great matches they had, what their reigns were like, it's everything. I want to see how great they were. Especially Steve Austin, which is a guy that, go down as like the greatest American wrestler ever. And it's like, I can't see him having that many fantastic balls to the walls matches, because by the time he got to WWE, pretty soon he became a top guy in WWE. He got injured and he couldn't do a lot of technical stuff. And in WCW and USWA, he wasn't that good yet. There's a pretty small window where he could rack up all these great matches. And obviously the promos, I know the promos are going to be great, but in terms of wrestling, but I mean, I've talked about it before, years ago. Austin versus Austin Hart still holds up. It's still, if you do stars, it's 5-star match in my book. It's a 9 out of 10 match. But of course, you can suggest shows old and new for me to review. I'm gonna watch a bunch of Kobashi matches to talk about next week. So yeah, that's what this show's gonna be. Just talking about the wrestling I watched in the past week. And if that interests you, stick around. But let's talk about how I rate things. I rate things on a 0 to 10 scale. As I said before, 0 is one of the worst things I've ever seen. It has no merit. 1 is unbearably terrible. 2 is horrible. 3 is bad. 4 is poor. 5 is a nothing match. Not anything good, not anything particularly bad. 6 is okay. 7 is a good match. 8 is a great match. 9 is an amazing match. 10 is one of the best pieces of media I've ever seen. The people who are in a 10 rated match are instant Hall of Greatness inductees. A lot to unpack there. What's the Hall of Greatness? Well, it's my version of Hall of Fame, except we're not appreciating the level of fame or cultural impact. I'm just, how great is your work? No matter where you on the card, no matter how much money you drew, how great was your work? You could be lower mid card guy, but if you have great matches, you have great promos, I'm gonna respect that. I'm a wrestling fan. I'm not a fan of wrestling companies making money. Like, what the fuck? I don't care about how much money. I'll be just making enough money to keep this thing going. And even if you don't, I'll go watch another wrestling promotion. The genre is gonna stay around, even if your company fails. So if your company fails, so why do I care about how much money you make individually? Whatever. But that being said, I hope everyone is balling out of control. I hope all the wrestlers I like are balling out of control. But whatever. 10 rated match though. There's only been 2 that I gave 10s. The first Kenny Omega Okada match. The second Omega Okada match. The third Omega Okada match I gave a 9. The fourth one I gave a 9.25. I know that's blasphemous, but when I watched it, I didn't feel 10. But so yes, Okada and Omega are in my Hall of Greatness. They automatically got into the Hall of Greatness because of those performances. There is, I think, 9 credentials that you get if you get one of those credentials into the Hall of Greatness. And the Hall of Greatness itself has 4 tiers. There's the gold tier, it has the emerald tier, the platinum tier, and the diamond tier. Diamond's the highest. If you satisfy 4 of the 9, what's it called? Achievements, I guess. You get to be in the highest tier. If you get 3, you get in the second highest. Or 2, it's third highest, and you can only get 1. You get the gold tier, the bottom tier of the Hall of Greatness. So the Hall of Greatness, you have to get either 50 great promos or 50 great matches. So that's 58 out of 10s of matches or 8 out of 10 promos. You have to get 10 9-score matches or 10 9-score promos or 1 10-score match or 1 10-score promo. Wait, that's 6 credentials. What's the 7th one? Let me go. Hall of Greatness, because I have a Google Doc of this. There's only 2 in there. There's a bunch of people that are going to be in there by the end of the year when I finish rating all their matches, of course. What the fuck? Where's the fucking thing? Oh, here we go. The criteria: 1 10-score match, 10 9-score matches or above, 50 great matches, and then it's the same thing with the promos. The next criteria is have an 8-score year. So all your work in a year is averages out at 8 or above. That's rarely done. People have come close to it, like Brock Lesnar, like Kenny Omega, but so far none have done that. It's a very, very lofty achievement. And I'll see if anyone has ever done that. The other criteria is having 8-score average match year. So that's just doing the whole yearly average just for the matches. And then, of course, doing the 8-score average just for the non-match segments that year. So promos. Yeah. So as much as I do not care for promos in my wrestling show, I feel like they're unnecessary. WWE has soured me on them. Even though they shouldn't have. Interviews are a great way to, give you a break between matches and get more character, of course, when you speak the language. So I have to give respect to people who are great orators, great users of the mic, users and abusers of the mic. So Stone Cold Steve Austin will definitely get in the Hall of Greatness. It just may not be for the volume of great wrestling matches he's had. Which, respect to the bald boy, because he's awesome. So that's how you get in the Hall of Greatness. So that's my how I rate things and award things. I know I'm not saying you have to adopt this system or whatever, but just so you understand, listening to a few future episodes. So I did want to talk about my relationship with pro wrestling, but this episode is going a little longer than I want to, so I might talk about that in the next part. I didn't want this to be an hour and a half, so I'm just gonna do an outro right now. If you want to support the show, I have a membership program on my YouTube channel. You can join the monthly membership from 99 cents all the way to $50 a month. If the show does really well monetarily and audience-wise, I'll keep doing more episodes, and I might even do more episodes a week. If the show doesn't grow that well and the audience really isn't there, I'll probably stop doing this after the G1 finals. Call it quits then. But that would be like a nice, 3.5 month run with this show. Wait, it's May. So 4.5 month run with this show. And I'll see how good I can do. See how much I can improve as a podcaster, just talking to myself here. But if you are interested in co-hosting or working together on some sort of wrestling related content, email me at thebrownlucario@gmail.com. Emails in description. No Owen Brown. The Brown Lucario, no Owen Brown @gmail.com. If you're interested in working, collabing, or being co-host of the show, if you want interested, we'll do one episode together, see how it goes, and we'll take it from there. Also, check out my channel, not just to help me out monetarily, but my Dark Rising Let's Play, my best of compilations, whatever else piques your interest on my channel. There's so much content there. There's a lot to look forward to as well. So stick around, subscribe on whatever thing you're listening on, and subscribe to my channel, Marc Anthony Davis. And with that, I'll say bye. See you next week. Have a wonderful week of wrestling.